Hello, my name's Hemingway Jones and welcome to the channel. This is one of those conversations that I like to have from time to time. I look at a lot of fountain pens, as you might imagine, and often my relationship with them develops over time. And it's not always easygoing. Sometimes I start out really not liking a pen, and sometimes it's quite the opposite, where I love it, and then the relationship starts to sour. And I think it's important to track the ups and downs. Our pen lives are a journey, and we're all looking for a very specific writing experience that's probably unique to each of us. For me, it's smooth, inspired writing with a pen that dazzles the eye, that performs fantastically, that perhaps I can ponder its history and its relevance and just enjoy it. And it's even better if a pen has a great story behind it. This fountain pen that I'm going to speak about today has an incredible story behind it and a series of ups and downs that I would like to walk you through. And as is often the case, it enumerates a bigger story. It opens a door, and that is to Mont Blanc itself. I'm going to speak today about my recently bought Mont Blanc 149 in fine, and whether or not this pen is part of a trend that shows that Mont Blanc has some QC issues and some customer service issues. Some big words there. So join me today, won't you, as I talk about my journey lately with Mont Blanc. So you may recall that back in late June, my family and I, we took a trip to Paris. We had an absolute wonderful time. It's fantastic being there with an 8-year-old. My daughter just had a blast. While we were there, they had the biannual sales, and we were in a very beautiful large department store in France. They had a whole floor of stationery, and they had 30% off many different pens, including Mont Blanc. And I saw this 149 that was less than $700 once you took the 30% off, and I got my VAT refund of 12% for being a citizen of the United States. So I couldn't pass that up. Of course, I took the pen home, inked it up, wrote with it for about a week, and was pretty overjoyed with the experience. There's always this bit of nervousness. When you try a new fountain pen, you wonder whether or not you bought a good one or a lemon, as can happen actually with any brand. But in this case, everything seemed fine. It seemed to write just fine. And I wrote with it probably for a week and a half, and then I set it down for a while, and I was distracted away from some other pens, including the Mont Blanc Wes Anderson fountain pen that you may have witnessed me unboxing on this channel. And this sort of sets the stage for a lot of my feelings and interactions with Mont Blanc. First of all, historically, probably for my entire fountain pen journey, I have been a bit of a Mont Blanc fanboy. I have books on the company. I have a pretty large collection of Mont Blanc pens. I go into the boutiques whenever I have a chance. I try to try each and every pen that I can. I think they are extraordinary, beautiful items, and even their upper end ones are really pretty, look like museum pieces. So I am firmly predisposed to like Mont Blanc and everything that they do. Nevertheless, being in a YouTube channel and presenting fountain pens to you and reading all of your comments, which I do read just about every comment on this channel, I do see themes, sort of undercurrents and you get a sense of what's going on out there in the market. And a lot of folks were mentioning that they were having QC issues with their nibs. Now, to me, I take it a bit with a grain of salt. I can really only share with you what I experience myself. That's the whole nature of this channel. This channel is sort of an investigative journey of my fountain pen experiences. So 50 pens may be terrible, but if I get a good one, I may be more optimistic about a brand than I should be. I can't sample 25 pens and on average kind of rate a brand. I wish I could, but normally I have 1 or 2 pens from which I can derive an opinion, and over time I may become disillusioned, as I have lately with Mont Blanc. So is the light fading? Yes, I would say that it is. And there's 2 reasons. First is that Wes Anderson pen, I am still stinging from that. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the comments. But a couple of things happened. One is I did the unboxing on the air live, and there's 2 reasons for that. One is I want to share it with you. I want you to experience it with me in real time. That is incredibly important to me. There's another reason as well. If I can get it on tape when I unbox something, if there's some kind of issue with it, it's documented. And if it's the first time I'm opening it, it's clearly documented. So no one can take issue later and say that I messed with something or something else happened. It's clearly documented on film. So those were my 2 purposes. You all experienced my look of horror. I can't hide my feelings. I don't have a very good poker face. In fact, people who know me, people at work, they know what I'm thinking in meetings. They make jokes about it because my face tells all. And when I unboxed that pen, even before, I heard something rattling around. When you have a pen shipped to you and it costs $2,800 and change, you don't want to hear something rattling around in there, because your worst fear is that what's rattling around is not some bit of cartridge, notebook, some extra, but the actual fountain pen. Well, that's exactly what happened. I opened the box and the actual pen was not properly secured in the box. It was rattling around on its whole journey to me. And that is really unacceptable. I mean, even a Lamy Safari comes in a cardboard box that you don't have to worry about. Why would a $2,800, almost $3,000 fountain pen be rattling around in a box? It's ridiculous. Now, fortunately, it was coated with plastic that I did not touch. I didn't ink the pen. I didn't dip the pen. I went to post it, and if you watch the video closely, the threads didn't feel like they lined up when I went to do it, and I didn't want to force it in any way. So you see me sort of awkwardly stop. Now, that did not leave a very good impression. From a luxury brand like Mont Blanc to deliver this pen that I've been waiting for, it had been delayed multiple times, and then when it arrives, it's rattling around and it's ridiculously small and silly. So that was jarring. Another thing that's jarring is when you sort of crowdsource opinions. And often, if I ask people, what's your favorite ink color, blue or black? It's usually like 60-40 or something close, sometimes completely polarized, 50-50 on certain things. It's very rare when it's almost unanimous. And when I ask people whether or not I should return it or keep it, I think out of the hundreds of comments, I hope I'm not over-exaggerating, but it sure felt like hundreds of comments, there were maybe 2 that were positive. The rest overwhelmingly, I'd say over 99% negative. Return it. It's ridiculous. Why are you putting up with that? So ultimately, I did return it. And they credited me back after some negotiation. That was awkward and not a very luxurious experience either. And I'm just very glad they credited back my American Express. And I had that positive balance that I took to Chicago with me to the Atlas Pen Sidewalk sale, which was a blast. That is also in my lives. I'll put a link to that in the description as well if you want to check that out. So on that trip, long story short, bought a Pilot custom Urushi. I am over the moon with that fountain pen still. Writing with it all the time, having a hard time putting it down. That's what it's supposed to be. That's the experience we're all striving for. That kind of connection with a fountain pen where you adore it, where you want to create with it. You want to write a letter, a postcard. You want to write a script for a video, for writing, of course, in your journal or anywhere else. And by the way, Konpeki ink, I'm falling in love with it all over again. I love the highs and lows, the shading of it. It's brilliant. So that all happened. I'm happy now. But the 149. So I pick it up after about a week and a half being distracted from other pens. And I notice the cross strokes. This is usually where I notice I have an issue with a fountain pen. In the cross strokes. The cross strokes felt very, very dry. Then it started skipping and slow starting and everything else. And I was kind of almost in denial at first. Like, it had worked fine before, and I'm still sort of rattling my brain as to why. It's possible because it was freshly inked. There was a bit more in the feed to carry it along. Maybe I didn't clean it well enough and I wasn't getting a fair representation. It's possible it could be something like that. The 149 was very, very dry, very skippy, and I knew something was wrong with it. So what did I do? Well, at the Atlas Stationer's Sidewalk sale, my buddy, Kirk Spear of Pen Realm, who is an absolute craftsman, just first off, a fantastic guy. One of the coolest, nicest guys. One of those people that you're just fascinated by when you speak to him, has a lot of interesting stories, just a really nice, warm guy. So I asked him, I'm like, hey, Kirk, can you do me a favor? Is there any way you could kind of slip this fountain pen sometime in your schedule today? It's just wicked dry, and I'd like it if it were a bit wetter for me. I like a more smooth writing experience. Do you think you'd do that for me? And he said, sit down right now. We can do it. It was probably a bit before opening. So I sat down, and I'll play the video while I talk about it. It is such a joy to watch him work on it. The first thing that he did was he examined the tines, probably saw that they were too close together. He spread them with his hands, and then he worked with the micro mesh in a very interesting sort of figure eight, sort of like an artist mixing colors. And he would examine it, and then he'd write with it, and then he'd do his figure eights again, and he'd write with it. And that was pretty quick. So he would work on it, and then he'd hand it to me, and he said, give it a shot. So I started writing with it, and then bam, that was it. That was the moment. I'm like, this is what I want. This is how my 149 in medium writes, though wider, of course, that I bought over 10 years ago. Actually, my wife bought for me. I wanted it to have that kind of wet, flowy feel. And this one didn't. It was just very, very dry. But Kirk fixed that for me, and I was delighted. But he said something really interesting when he did. He said, this is a gorgeous pen. There is nothing wrong with this pen, except they just never finished the nib. So from his perspective, the nib wasn't properly tuned. It was just sort of sent out a bit rough into the world. So is that a QC issue? I think it is. And I even wonder if there's a reason for it. Why isn't a beautiful writing experience your goal? I don't know. I think there's a problem there. And I think there's another problem too. And this is something I'm seeing across all brands. I don't want to let Mont Blanc off the hook yet. I'm going to circle back to them and say how I think they have QC and customer service issues again before we end. But let me just say that I feel that some pen brands are making fountain pens for more the general population rather than the enthusiast like us who write with these things and have a very specific experience in mind. I feel like it's almost as if these companies expect people to write harder with them, to press harder into the page so that they're not making them as wet or as smooth. And perhaps this might be a reason why some of these pens are drier, or maybe this is me sort of projecting and rationalizing on their behalf. But whatever it is, I'm seeing it and I don't like it. So going back to Mont Blanc, I feel like if you want to buy one of their pens, I would suggest you pick one with a heritage nib. The heritage nibs have some softness. It's an interesting writing experience. It feels very vintage, very unique. Ironically, the Wes Anderson fountain pen had a heritage nib, but I didn't try it, so I'll never know how that was. But my Gyptomania has one too. It's absolutely brilliant. And from what I hear in the comment section, those seem to be more reliable. But the classic 146s, 149s with the regular nibs, it seems like Mont Blanc's in a hurry to get these out the door. They're not finishing them properly. So that is an issue. I'd even say that my Mont Blanc 100-year anniversary pen, it actually writes well, but it doesn't blow me out of the water. It doesn't impress me so much that I cannot put it down. It writes well, but the regular one I had that was older had a wetter, smoother, more joyful writing experience. So much so that I ended up putting the 100-year one just away in the safe. And, you know, it's more of a collector pen. I don't really get that inspired from it. So between the tough customer service that I had at the boutique, it makes me wonder how actionable the Mont Blanc nib exchange is. If you get a bad nib from them, you have some time, I think it's 30 days, to return it and get a different nib. That's fantastic. But I had 14 days to return my Wes Anderson pen on a contract, and I had people telling me that they wanted to give me credit. So that would make me a bit more nervous now, hesitant to refer these pens. So I feel like the shine is off the brand a bit. I'm not sure I'm the fanboy I used to be. I don't think I'm rushing out buying the latest Mont Blanc. I don't want to risk it. What are they going to charge for it? $1,200, $1,300? Then you get it, it writes dry? Nimbeisters are not that easy to come by. If you don't run into one in a pen show, often they have month-long backlogs. So I don't think I want to risk an expensive purchase on Mont Blanc anymore, especially when I see how awesome Pilot Namiki is at every level. I would invest in Pilot Namiki all day long without hesitation. They have my full confidence right now. But Mont Blanc, it's a fading star. And I never really thought I'd say that to you. But I'm really disillusioned. Probably more accurate to say I'm disenfranchised. I'm not the Mont Blanc fanboy that I used to be. And I thought that it's important that we talk about it tonight. Still love my pens, love the ones that are tuned, but I don't want to risk a whole bunch of treasure on a pen that's going to need extra work. I'm not going to do it. So on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thanks for watching. And if you've reached this point, please subscribe. I'd love to have you on this journey with me. From the pen, we go to a lot of different places, and I would absolutely love to have you with me. And if you want to support the channel even more, membership is available, and we have a pen pal group for Illuminati and Cognoscenti level members. So I'd absolutely love to have you behind the scenes as well. So I make new videos all the time, and I have a live show too. So I can promise you, we will see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care of yourself, and thanks for watching.